Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to another video. My name is Prince Mason. Today we are going to be retouching one of these images on your screen. Not exactly these ones because I've done these ones already, but one of these images on your screen. And I'll be showing you guys how to actually get this natural but glowy effect that you guys can see in this image. You know, as you can see, her face looks really nice and shiny. Same with the other ones, you know, but it does not look overexposed. Same way with her body. Look at, you know, like you have this nice shine effect on her body. So yeah, I'll be showing you guys how to do this, but before we get into this, I'm going to be using my Pro Retouching pack, some things from my Pro Retouching pack. I'm also going to be using some things from my Retouching Essentials pack, so definitely check it out. Links will be in the description below. If you know you want to retouch better and faster, you need to check it out. So yeah, now before we get into it, I'm just going to show you guys a quick before and after. So this is what the straight out of camera looks like. Right now we're in Capture One. As you guys can see, it doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good, decent, but there are a lot of things that we can do to make this image stand out. For example, she blends too much with the background, and that's because I would say the hue of the background, even though it's white, you know, you can see it's leaning towards reds. We want to change that, and that's what we did after we fixed it in Capture One, so you guys can see what the after looks like. Right now, the background is plain, kind of has like a bluish tint to it, right? And this is our after image. So I'm just going to zoom in just a bit. So before, this is the before, and this is the after. Okay, great. So we're going to be starting with this image. What's the first thing I'll do in Capture One? First thing is that I always do in Capture One. Obviously, I've created one preset already. So basically, since I worked on one image, it's just easy for me to just copy the adjustment and then paste it on the next image, and that way, you know, it maintains consistent color, right? But that's not what we're going to do right now, even though I'm still going to do that before I move to Photoshop. I'm just going to show you guys what I did in Capture One. So I just hit the reset button, and Capture One is very simple for me. First things first, I will drag in my highlights and shadows here in the levels layer, right? Then, because of AI in Capture One right now, retouching, or I'll not say retouching, editing your raw files is a lot easier now. So right now I'm going to select my background, and AI is going to cut my subject out of the background. So now that we are on our background mask right here, if you click M, you can see it did a decent job, cut our subject out. It didn't do a perfect job, but I really do not mind. If I'm trying to fix this, what I'm just going to do is click on the AI eraser tool. Then I'll just come here and tell it, you know, like I don't want the mask on the hair, and it will take out the mask on the hair. As you guys can see, we don't have the mask on the hair anymore, but it's taking it out to the point that it's, you know, kind of on the background right now. So I'm just going to tell this to pick the hair here, put it back in, you know, some of the strands here, put this ones back in, you know, just because I want some of those back in. I don't want the top back in. I don't know why it's picking that part of the top, which is kind of crazy. So I'm just going to get the eraser tool to make sure the top's not there. But yeah, okay, great. So now after doing this, what I'm going to do is tell I'm just going to click. Oh, it got some things here too. Whew, that's crazy. I'm just going to get that out. I don't want it in the pants, neither do I want it there, you know, like I want my subject to be out. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do right now is tell it to select. I mean, it's not going to do a perfect job. I'm just going to click M on my keyboard so I don't see any of that again. What I'm going to do is tell it to select my subject. So right now it's selected my subject. So you guys can see we have my subject selected. If I click M on my keyboard, didn't do the best job, but hey, you know, it's decent. I'm just going to tell it, you know, select the hair too. And that is my subject selected, right? So now I'm going to click M on my keyboard again. And what I want to do is work on the background separately. So I'm just going to go to my background. There's different ways to do this. You can either reduce the Kelvin of your background, you know, and then just add like a tint to it to make it look different. Or you can even add like a completely different color to your background if you want, you know. There are just different ways to go about it. You can literally go crazy. But what I typically do is, if I'm trying to do something like this, I'll just come to the 3-way color corrector, and then from here it's just a bit easier for me to find the exact color that I want. And you guys can see it's not too far off from what's in the other one, maybe, you know, leaning towards a green, just a little bit more. So pretty close, right? For my subject, I always turn on my exposure warning, just so that I see if my subject's overexposed or not. On my main background, I think I made my subject overexposed, so I'm going to reduce that. My subject, what I'm just going to do in this instance is just bump, just not even with my RGB, sorry, my bad. I'll go to my Loomer curves and then just bump that up a bit on my subject, just something like that. And that's about it. I'm pretty done right here in Capture One. If anything, I think it looks great. These are before and these are after. I'm just going to zoom in for you guys to see. These are before, these are after. Now, obviously, I don't think it's the same exact thing as the one that is here, but this is what I typically do. It's pretty close. So what I'm going to do is, since I already have this done already, like my color grade done Capture One, I'm just going to copy this and then paste it here, so everything maintains the same exact color that I want. And now what I'm going to do is take this and edit with Photoshop. So let's go into Photoshop. Okay, so now we are in Photoshop, and one of the first things that I want to do is make sure that the background is clean. Now, there isn't a lot to do here, so what I'm going to do is pick my patch tool, Command J. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, pick my patch tool, and all I'm going to do is just circle around these patches and drag away, just like that, and that will give me a pretty decent background. I mean, I'm going to come back to fixing the background a bit, but I just wanted to make sure that I get those out of the way. If I can see any tiny spots there, I'll take those out too. So now that we're good, for the hair, I'm not going to take a lot of these out, but if I wanted to, I would. All you have to do is just pick a clone stamp tool and then just sample and then just clean it off with a clone stamp tool. Something like that is totally fine. I want the hair to still look as natural as possible, so I'm not going to do too much of that. I think that's totally fine, because people are not going to be zooming in to see that. And even if they are, it's hair, hair is meant to look like this, right? So now we have our before, after. We just fixed some of these tiny things. What I typically do is I'll duplicate this again, just to keep these layers intact. And then for now, I'm going to run my median. So the reason why I'm using median today for this retouch is because I want to show you guys a new way of actually using frequency separation. It's the same way basically of using frequency separation, but I'm just going to show you guys how I use it now. That makes it more efficient for me to keep the image as natural as possible and also get my editing done, right? So now I'm going to run my median frequency separation. If you don't have it, get my retouching essentials pack. It's part of it. Help retouch better, retouch faster. So now you guys can see how it looks, right? It's telling us it's going to apply a radius of 30. The mistake a lot of people do is use really high radiuses when they're using frequency separation. The reason why I don't use that is because if you use a very high radius, it just like everything is kind of like just going to be texture. It's not going to see a lot of colors. So you have to find the balance between both. For an image like this, I'm probably going to use a radius of about 5, who knows, because what I'm doing is like I'm actually looking at the face and I just want the textures to be blurred out enough, right? So I'm looking at the blemishes around the face to say, is this blurred out enough? Look at these blemishes here. If it's not, then I'm probably going to go up to 6 to see what 6 looks like, and then let's see what 6 looks like. 6 looks decent. So for an image like this, I'm probably going to stick to 6, right? And then click OK. Now, how you know you're doing the right thing is when the next apply image comes up and you can actually see the texture, then okay, you're actually doing the right thing, right? So obviously scale is 2, offset is 128, and then we're just going to click OK. Okay, so now we are good. We've created our frequency separation layers. If you don't have actions, you definitely need to get actions to be able to work great in Photoshop. One thing I missed though was this, because we clipped here. I missed that. That's very easy to take out. So we're probably going to do that at the end of the retouch, right? Okay, great. So I told you guys I'm going to show you a trick that, will help you definitely retouch a lot better. So now that you've created this, right on top of your low layer, what you're going to do is come here and create a black and white filter. Drag your reds all the way down. As you guys can see, you can see a lot of blemishes and blah, blah, blah. Everything becomes more apparent, right? But the next thing you have to do is pull your yellows up. And that way you can see the difference between the highlights, you know, and the shadows on the face a lot more. I don't know if you guys can see that. Look, with this, you can't really see much. But when you do this, you can see. Another way you know this works great is when you look at the body. So when you look at the body, you can see all these spots that kind of like the difference between like the highlights and the shadows. I'm not saying this is how the person looks, but it just gives you like an exaggerated view of what you need to do and how you need to clean that up. So right now, what we're going to do is just zoom into the face, pick our clone stamp tool. And before I use this, I'm going to turn this off. I'm just going to use my clone stamp tool normally, right? Make sure my flow is at 100% and I'm sampling current layer. So right now, I'm just going to take out some of the blemishes. You can see how I'm here. We're just going to get some of these out, and I'll be back when I'm done taking out these blemishes. Okay, so now we're back. We didn't have too much blemishes to take out. You know, obviously we fixed the armpit, you know, a little bit of the face right here, nothing too much. It has pretty great skin. I'm leaving a lot of this. I kind of like, I don't know what they are, but kind of see them as burnt marks, so I'm going to leave them there. And yes, so onto the most important part of the retouching is working on the colors, the skin. So what I'm going to do is just turn on my black and white layer, and then I'll come down here to my color mode, right? And then I'm going to pick my mixer brush tool and get to work. So my mixer brush tool, I can see everything here. So what I'm going to do is just paint in, as you guys can see, I'm just going to brush in bits, you know, nothing crazy, right? Just going to brush in bits, smoothing out the skin. So let's see what we're doing. Look at that before, after, in a matter of seconds, you know, again, the skin to look great. One thing I love doing is mixing, working with frequency separation with micro dodge and burn. I feel like that's when you get like the best of both worlds. But for today, I don't think we're going to work with micro dodge and burn. We're just going to stick with frequency separation and just get everything done with frequency separation. Okay, so let's turn off black and white and see what that looks like. You guys can see we've done a pretty decent job here. Everything is looking nice and smooth. Just going to smoothen out some of these places here too. Everything is looking nice and smooth. So just going to zoom out. We're still maintaining the shape of our face and how everything looks. So before, after, you guys can see that before, after, where it looks nice and smooth. So if I zoom in, my bad. If I zoom in right now, I can see our before, after, still maintaining the shape of her face and her expression and how everything looks. So we're going to turn on black and white. Now for the body, the honest truth is that you don't want to, you know, work on this till everything is gone. You know, you just want to be very careful. So I'm following the way the light is. You guys can see I'm not doing too much. You can still see some of those, I'll say black and white spots on her body, and that's how you want to keep it. You know, you just don't want to get everything to look extremely smooth. Remember, this is exaggerated. This is not how it actually looks, so you have to pay close attention to that, right? So something like this part of her legs, then I'll work here too, you know, just work with my mixer brush tool, right? And let's see what our before and after looks like. I'm just going to take that out, before, after. You guys can see it looks nice and smooth, but there's still a little bit of that, I would say, imperfection that makes it look really good, right? Okay, great. So now that we're done with this, one thing that you need to do just to smoothen out the whole background, you know, if you have like blemishes or all that stuff in your background, this is very important, right? Just click on this, your lasso tool right here, and select around your subject. Do not touch your subject. Whatever you do, do not touch your subject. Just select around your subject, doesn't have to be perfect, something like that. Then go, oh my God, my bad, mistake. Let's do that again. So select that on our subject. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just do not touch your subject, right? Then we'll go around like this, all the way. And then we have like this selection around our subject. If you want, you can hold shift and, like bring it in, if you really need to, but for the most part, you don't have to. So now we're going to just Command J, and what that's done is that it's just created like this whole background. It just created it here, right? So we just want to smoothen out this background, right? So what we're going to do is go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and a radius of anywhere between 80 to 120 is fine. And then we'll click OK. And what we're going to do again is create an create a layer mask. My bad. So we'll create a layer mask, click our brush tool, make sure that we are on black. And what we want to do is just paint over our subject, just the edge of our subject, just to make sure that the blur is not touching our subject, right? That's very important because we don't want it to spill on our subject. Okay, great. So now that we've done this just smoothing out the background. That's all it does. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but maybe I'll turn on black and white. No, it does not show. But basically, if there are any tiny imperfections here, just around these areas, it will just smoothen everything out and everything will be nice and smooth. Okay, great. So turn off our black and white, and this is what our image looks like right now. It's not perfection, but it is retouched and it looks great. Like I said, we do not want a situation where our image looks overly retouched. So these are before, after. I didn't even touch the hand. That's the crazy part. So I'm just going to turn on the black and white again. I didn't touch the hand. So go back here to the work layer, pick a mixer brush tool, and then just smoothing out the hands just a little bit, nothing too crazy. Just like that, and then we are good. So I'm going to turn off my black and white before, after. Everything looks great now. So the next thing I want to do is dodge and burn. So I'm just going to close this, click on global dodge and burn, pick our brush tool, take our flow all the way to like 3%, and then go to dodge. And what we're going to do is anywhere that is light, bright, we're going to dodge that part. So somewhere around here, right here. By the way, my bad. Click X to make sure that your foreground color is white. I just did that right now. So here, just dodge around the forehead, all these places. See the lip that's shiny, we're going to dodge around there. Anywhere that is bright, just dodge it just to exaggerate the highlights, right? So this part of the hand, just exaggerate that too. So we're going to zoom out right now. You see the legs, those lines right here. What we're going to do is we're going to exaggerate that because we want that to show, we want that to look nice. So we're not going to use one brush size, we're going to vary it between a big and a tiny brush size like I'm doing, right? Right here too, just add some highlights to that, anywhere that you can see any type of highlights, you just highlight it. So right here too, just make that nice. Then, underneath here too. And we're going to do the same thing with burn. Burn is for the shadows. So right here, the shadows and midtones, anywhere that you see any dark areas, right? We're going to burn them. Now with the burn, you just want to be careful not to overdo it. If not, the image will start looking fake. So just around the face like this, the lips, just burn. And you can dodge the hair too, by the way. You can come here, dodge the hair too, the highlights on the hair, just to make those stand out too, make it look really good. And you do the same thing for the burn too. So you just go in there and burn the hair too. So you just burn the hair too. Okay. Just going to, dodge these areas too. And that looks great. So we have an image that looks absolutely gorgeous right now. Next thing I want to do is just create a levels adjustment layer and just dragging my levels till, hold Option on your keyboard till you can you see those red dots coming out like this, then you can see it's overexposed. So you just want to hold it till you see any of those red dots coming out, and then we're good. So right here, we can see it's already getting overexposed, so we don't want to do too much for our burn. The same thing, you can see once it starts getting red, that means, you know, our blacks are getting crushed too much. So at this point, I think we are good, and this looks great. Now, one trick that I do is that I'll create a stamp visible layer. So that's Command Option Shift and E, Control Alternate Shift and E on PC, and then go to Filter, and then go to Camera Raw. So the reason why I do this is if I'm trying to just mess with the colors a bit, I can do this, you know, just come to Camera Raw and then mess with my colors. Or, I mean, the easiest way to do that, I'm just going to show you guys, come to the color mixer. Our colors are probably going to be around our oranges, right? So you can see this is saturation. You can reduce the saturation with your hue. You know, you can tell it to, you know, like lean towards like magenta, or, you know, like greens. Maybe we just lean towards greens by 1 or 2. That's totally fine. And then for our saturation, I think I brought it down to something like -6. Just give it a nice hue, right? Or you can just use one of my, just throw one of my LUTs, my skin tone LUTs in there. It's going to affect most of the image, but maybe skin tone LUT 4, something like this. Looks great. You can throw 6 in it. 6 looks absolutely gorgeous without the, even with, looks great. Okay, great. So now that I've thrown the skin tone LUT in it, I don't think it works perfectly for this image. I like the way it looks because, you know, it just looks really nice and natural, right? Okay, great. Now, next thing we want to do is, remember I told you guys we need to take this out. This right here. It's very simple. Just create, click your clone stamp tool. We're going to work on this layer right here. It's very easy for you to create that layer and work on if you want to do that. But for this, I'm just going to work on this layer right here. Since it's on current layer, we're just going to do it here. Just take it out. It's pretty simple to do. Just be careful. At this point, probably might just take out like the hair that's here, so everything looks nice and even. I feel like I could do a better job here, but hey, I think I've done a decent job. Okay, great. So now that that's gone, we want to liquify our image. You know, it's just one of those things that we do as photographers. For my liquify, I'll duplicate my image again because I want to work on like something very different. Right now I'm singing BBL Drizzy in my head. But yeah, so for liquify, sometimes I just like pushing the waist in just a little bit, then make this a little bit rounder, just a tiny bit. And then the waist here too, right here, just snatch that in just a bit more, you know, just to give it like a nice illusion. Then because I'm shooting with like 100, no 70, 200, I like making the face just a bit smaller. And there's a before and there's a after. Nothing too much, just what I like to do in Liquify. And then that's our image. Let's zoom inside and see what our image looks like. So I'm going to hold Option and show you guys before, after. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. And you guys can do this in less than 15 minutes on an image, and then you're good to go to your next image. Before, after, before, after. Remember, do not forget this right here. This black and white layer right here is definitely going to help you out. But anyways, thank you so much for watching today's video. Check out my Pro Retouching pack. It'll help you retouch better, retouch faster. Check out my Retouching Essentials pack, my skin tone LUTs. Everything will be in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.